Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to do something a little different. What you have here is a Tag Heuer Alter Ego watch from right around the early 2000s era. I think I purchased this in 2002, and every couple of years I have to replace the battery. So the battery that goes in this model, and I think some others, is called the 364 size. So we're gonna crack this open. I'm gonna show you the best way to change the battery, and we're gonna do all that after I come back. Okay, so first thing we're gonna have to do is take the back off. So I have a precision screwdriver set, and we're gonna use that to do our screw removal. If you look, and it's gonna be hard to see, I'm gonna have to zoom in. If you look at these screws, they are common screws, which are the one slot screws. Make sure you get a very thin screwdriver, and this might not even be the right size. Oh, it's perfect, actually perfect. When you get in there, you're gonna wanna get in there into the screw slot, and you're gonna wanna push hard because you don't want to damage the screws. Okay. Now, as you remove these screws, be very careful you do not lose them. So put them in a spot where they're unable to get lost. Just work your way around the edge of the watch. I might need a pair of tweezers to put these back. This one's ready to come out. I'll just dump it over. This screwdriver might be a hair too large. It seems to be working. I just don't want to scratch the watch. There goes the second screw. And go and work yourself around the watch. Okay, I ended up using a diamond file to get this smaller. When you're going for the screws that are right in the way, you don't need to take the band off to do this. I mean, it's probably better to do that, but as you can see, there's a hole that you can line up to where you can get these screws that are inside the area that is difficult. So there you go. So you can access those if you move the bracelet the right way. Okay, so at this point, I've taken all 6 screws out. So what I'm gonna do is carefully lift up the back. And I'm gonna remember the Tag Heuer label will face this direction in relation to the crown. If you pull up the case back, be careful, there's an O-ring. We're gonna clean that. All right, so now we have access to the battery. So carefully remove the battery using your screwdriver. Just lift it straight out, being careful not to change the orientation of the inside of the watch. All right, time for the install of the new battery. I'm gonna cut the case open for it. Again, it's a 364. I got these on Amazon. They were like $5 for 6 of them, which if you try to find these, and somebody has a set, they're gonna be $5 each. So it's way cheaper, cost effective to go to Amazon. That way you know you're getting the right one as well. All right, so the flat side goes up. And it did a little dance there, but it's back. Carefully install the battery where it goes. It snaps right in. Let's see if the watch is running at this point. And it's ticking away nicely. All right, now next step is to clean the immediate area where the O-ring goes, and we're gonna lubricate the O-ring a little bit after we clean it. All right, so we're gonna use a Q-tip with a little dab of alcohol. Careful not to get it on the watch. And let's go ahead and clean where that surface is. All right, I might have a little too much, so I'm gonna dab it. I don't wanna have any runoffs into the watch. All right, clean that edge. Is it dirty? A little bit. That's years of use. Years of use. It's gonna be any watch will have that type of dirt, debris. All right, I'm being careful not to mess with the internals of the watch. Use the clean side to make sure you've cleaned up all the dust. All right, now let's work on the case back. It should be a little bit dirty too. Oh yeah, that's dirty. But as you can see, it cleans up nicely. Don't be afraid to get in there and clean, but you do not want to damage that O-ring, because that O-ring could be hard to acquire. Just inspect it to make sure it's okay. Basically, all it does is compress. There's no stress on the O-ring. Now, we're going to apply a small layer of silicone grease. And the reason why we use silicone is because it is waterproof. And that's what you want your watch to be at the end of the day. But we're not going to goop it on. We're going to do it very lightly. Before we put our grease on, what we're going to do is we're going to clean the screw holes. So I've just wet the clean side of the Q-tip, and I'm going to clean the screw holes from the case back side. So clean those. If you need to, use a Q-tip or use a toothpick to ensure that all the grit and grime is out of the holes. Just run it through like that, but we're going to make sure that we clean it if we've made a trail of debris. All 6 holes. And they are dirty. All right, follow it up with another clean of the Q-tip dipped in alcohol. And as you can see, I've pushed some of the debris out the other side. So this is a cat and mouse game, trying to find all the bits of dirt. Okay, be patient, because what you're doing is you're saving yourself about $85 at the TAG Heuer dealership by doing this. The only drawback, though, I'll warn you, is what TAG Heuer will do is they'll send it off to get pressure tested, so that if you go diving, it will withstand the pressures that's listed on the back. This is 100 meters. It says here 100 meters dive pressure. So if you don't go diving, which we don't, we're really not concerned about that. But if you guys go diving with these watches, make sure you send it to Tag Heuer. That way they can pressure test it for you. All right, everything seems to be nice and clean. Now what I'll do is I'm gonna get in a fresh Q-tip, and I'm gonna place a tiny dab of silicone grease on it. Okay, now that's way too much. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna wipe it off with a rag here. Make sure we don't introduce any debris, okay? Just to where it's a little wet, all right? Then you're gonna go around the outside of this O-ring and make sure the O-ring has a little bit of lubricant on it. All right, also making sure that you don't leave any of the hairs of the Q-tip behind either. All right, make sure you get all the way around. This is waterproof. It's gonna make it waterproof. And it's gonna ensure a good seal. It's gonna prolong the life of the O-ring as well. All right, done. Now for reassembly. So as you remember, the crown was here and the wording was gonna be facing this way, okay? So let's do that. Carefully place it, lined up, and line up the hole. Okay, you're gonna line up the holes and you're gonna check inside because it's easy to see the holes and it's not lined up. Now it's lined up. Okay, I've lined up the holes. I'm gonna place one screw at a time and I'm gonna use tweezers. All right, I've got a pair of tweezers. Now let's find those screws. You can clean the screws as well. For the video, I'm not gonna do that. You guys can do that if you want. Carefully install one of them. Oops, I've dropped one already. Maybe I can do it with my fingers. You wanna work in a clean, well-lit area. And if you need a magnifying glass, don't be afraid to grab one. Okay, I've got one screw in there. Now that I've got one screw, I will start the threads very carefully. The way you do that is you go backwards first until you feel it line up. Ah, you hear that little click? That meant it lined up perfectly. All right, I've got one started. I'm not gonna tighten it. Not until I have all of them in will I tighten it. And as you can see, one side's higher than the other, so you don't want to put all the torque down before you finish the plate. You see how that is? You're gonna put one opposite the other until you go opposite all the way around, and that's how you'll torque it down. I'll show you in a second. Okay, I've started the second screw. I've started it, I've dropped it in there. Now what I'll do is I'll do the same method as last time. I'll get the screw. I'm gonna go backwards until I hear the click. That way I know the screw thread is lined up in its screw slots. All right, I heard a little click. And that means it's ready. All right, I'm gonna continue on. I'm gonna put the opposite one here, the opposite one here, then the hard to get to one here, and then the hard to get to one there. And then what I'll do is I'll start over. I'll start with that one, torque that one, but I'm not gonna torque it tight. I'm gonna give it a little bit. Once it's tight, I'm gonna give it just a hair more. You don't need to put these screws in as tight as you would your lug nuts in your car, obviously. So I'll show you what the finished product looks like. Okay, all screws are installed. I've cross-torqued each one. Okay, now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go around the outside one more time. I'm gonna start with this one, and I'm gonna make sure they're snug, just in case I didn't forget any of them. None of them are moving yet. Nope, that one did not move, okay? Because you don't want to miss one, right? All right, so far so good. All right, they're all good. Now, as you can see, everything is lined up perfect. And we have ticking, and we're gonna have ticking for a few years. All right, until I need to break out another one of these 364 batteries 2 years from now. But nice watch. It's a beautiful watch, but the problem is the battery runs down every couple of years. So now you know how to fix it, and now you know how to do it cheaply. It just takes patience and a clean work environment. So join me next time when I fix something else on this channel.